Notice the fact that the opposing team made their whole case contingent on the idea that there'd be some marginal academic benefit to these 10-year-olds. These are 10-year-olds. They should be enjoying their life. They should be relaxing while they can before they have to enter the real world. Okay, 3 points of clash for the house today. Are students worse off at primary schools without this freedom of choice? Second, are students more well off in terms of adapting to intermediate school? And third, what does this look like for the marginalized groups? On the first point of clash, widely they told us that they're going to be these better academic outcomes. Why is this intrinsically wrong? First of all, the students who are under the age of 12, their brains aren't even fully developed yet. They shouldn't even be focusing on academics, and most students don't even probably know what the word academic means. They don't understand the concept that even though it could be very good to become very, very educated from a young age because there are going to be significant benefits on the future, this is not something that is important to a 10-year-old. This is not something that they're even able to digest. The education and the types of harsh education that you're trying to push them into won't even be absorbed by these students. What's on their mind is, I'm just waiting in my math class, there's about 30 more minutes before it's playtime. That's what's on their mind. Not, oh my gosh, how can I use this integration for calculus? This is what the opposing team fails to recognize, that these are actually 10-year-olds or younger. They don't have academics on their mind. They have, I want to play, I want to relax, I want to enjoy my time at school, I want to talk to my friends. And thus this is the most important part of a childhood, because at the point where you continue to push them and push them and push them, leads to long-term mental health negatives, such as extreme stress and depression, because they're pressured from a young age, they're told from a young age that the most important aspect of their life is academics, when really you should just be relaxing, you should just be able to enjoy your time. Moreover, secondly, we would see that these students probably would learn better if they were able to choose what they like. The opposing team likes to bring in this idea that because there's such thing as serotonin, that students are only going to pick subjects that are art, that give this sort of mental stimulation. But they never gauge with the idea that with our current society, science is heavily promoted. Same with math, same with English. Learning is promoted throughout students. I mean, you can see tons of TV channels about, super kids in science. Why wouldn't they be equally as incentivized to take these subjects, which still give them an active stimulation? Why does the opposing team just think that all STEM subjects would inherently just not be liked by young children? Well, this is something where the opposing team has to be able to engage with here on some grounds, that there are going to be lots of students, especially with a society that promotes science, that promotes all of these sorts of STEM subjects, where they choose it on their own. If they choose it on their own, it means they're much more incentivized to work hard because they're generally interested in the subject. If you force them, they're not going to want to learn. They're going to think this is an entire waste of my time. I could be doing something much better, like playing with my friends. But if you give them that free choice, they think they're choosing the option that is best for them. They're going to go into class thinking, I chose this, I want to be in this class, I want to actually learn to improve my education and for my own self-interest. It's significantly better on our side of the house, because at the point where you're forcing these students to do things that they don't like is at the point where you lose all the academic benefits you tried to claim, because students aren't going to be incentivized at all to learn. They're going to be incentivized to just wait 50 minutes, put no notes into their book, to not listen at all, talk with their friends, and then just go to lunchtime. That is the comparative that you see on their side of the house, and thus we would say that students are significantly better on our side of the house with the freedom of choice, because first of all, the status quo already fails the students. It doesn't actually help them prepare themselves for intermediate. Their grammar is still terrible, their punctuation is horrible, their arithmetic skills are subpar. So at the point where we're not even able to give them these sorts of unique benefits, we should then focus on giving them a new perspective. We should have a new perspective on the education system, where we try to give students more freedom of choice so that they're more incentivized to learn these sorts of STEM research subjects, because at the point where they enjoy it is at the point where they're learning. That's what we get on our side of the house. So on the second point of clash, it talks about if students are more well off to adapting to intermediate. Okay, so let's look at the status quo, and basically what they've pushed is that students who are going to be more academically inclined, they're going to be more used to homework and pressure, and thus they're going to have an easier time integrating into intermediate school. First, we've already flagged that the status quo simply fails students on all grounds when in terms of adapting from primary school to middle school. We see students all over New Zealand, they don't know how to cope with homework, they don't know how to cope with exams and all of these such things. But these things we don't disagree with. Why can't you just allow students to still pick the subjects that they like, but still have this sort of integrated examination, well, to a lesser extent of course, to still have homework? I mean, they talked about how students are only going to pick art, they're only going to pick the this fun sorts of activities, right, or such as like physical activity, but you can still give homework to them and teach them the idea of homework and deadlines, such as you have to be able to finish this painting of this sort of quality by tomorrow and you have to be able to hand it in. This still gets the exact same thing done, where you're still teaching them about homework, it's just done on a different subject. The opposing team seems to think that all of these more fun subjects are somehow subpar, and this is what we shouldn't be telling our students. We shouldn't be telling them that STEM subjects are the only important aspect to life. It's not just about the academics, especially for these younger children. It's about being a well-rounded student that does what they enjoy and excels at what they enjoy. And we're still able to get this sort of preparation. You can still examine them on physical activity. How many press-ups can you do? You can still examine them on their art. How much dedication, how much effort, how many of the techniques have they learned, and are they able to integrate that into the artwork that they see? We're on our side of the house, although it might be equal in terms of adapting to intermediate school, on our side of the house what we propose is that they're significantly better, because first of all they're able to actually do what they like and be prepared, and second, the status quo simply fails them in all grounds, and it actually just bores the children out of their minds on their side of the house. So now lastly, on the marginalized groups. Now they told us that kids with disabilities such as dyslexia, they're going to be significantly worse off, and kids in low socioeconomic societies. Now first off, kids with dyslexia often actually can be found out very, very soon, and they don't have to be forced to read continuously in order for you to find out about these disabilities. I mean, students are still going to be encouraged to read. The word encourage is important here because it's not forcing them, but it's incentivizing them and to, hey, look at this cool book. Would you like to try read this? It could be really beneficial for you. It could be really interesting for you. At that point, students are much more incentivized to learn. They're much more incentivized to read because you're not forcing them. Kids want to do what you tell them not to do, okay? So at the point where you're encouraging them and you're just promoting this idea is when students are actually going to be able to learn. And moreover, on this socioeconomic point, we can see that these low socioeconomic students are failing on all grounds in their status quo already. Perhaps if you took a new perspective, perhaps if you gave them the opportunity to excel at what they truly enjoy, then perhaps the people would be able to rise out of low socioeconomic statuses, because now they're excelling at things that they like and not what society has told them they should like. Thank you.